Hello everyone, I'm Frans Vischer. I'm an author and illustrator, and I illustrated these books that you see behind me here about a fat cat named Fuddles. And as you can see in the big picture of me holding him, Fuddles was a real cat. His actual name is Felix, but since there is a Felix the cat already, I named my picture book cat Fuddles. Now my cat, as you can see, he was quite big and he loves to eat. And he loves to lounge around the house. And I would spend a lot of time sketching him and having fun observing him. And I gradually came up with a story idea. And I made some books about him. Now, illustrators do more than make nice pictures. We have to think about the story points and how best to illustrate those. And so I'm going to show you in this video how I draw Fuddles. But now, instead of Fuddles just sitting there, I'm going to pretend that it's part of a picture. So, picture book rather. So let's say that Fuddles is frightened by something. And in the previous page, maybe there's a big dog, or there's a car barreling down toward him. Or worst of all, someone stole his food. So Fuddles is going to have this "ah" expression, and I have to figure out how to draw that. Now I use, let's see if you can see that here. I use a mirror. I have that right next to on my desk, and I often will make expressions, and I'll sit there like, and I'll draw that. Or if I have a hand or an arm at a difficult angle, I'll hold my hand out to the mirror and I draw that. So that's really useful. Now, I do almost all my work on the computer. So, and that's what I'm doing here. So now, I'm going to make this screen smaller. There, so you can still see me. But now, I'm going to draw. Let's see. Let me lower this a bit here. Okay. And now I'm going to draw. So usually when I start thinking about a story point and how to illustrate it, I just make a lot of drawings, very rough. So I'm going to pretend, let's see, I think the first one I'm just going to play around with Fuddles just sitting here. So you have that big surprised pose. And I'm not too worried about making a pretty drawing here. I'm just very roughly sketching, and because I know this won't be my final drawing. So he's sitting here. Maybe his toes are sticking out a bit, but you can see I'm not trying to make a pretty drawing particularly. I'm just trying to figure out, roughly just quickly sketch in something, and maybe his tail is all bushy, like that. So, okay, that's kind of static. He's just sitting there. What if he's jumping in the air? So let's try another one. So, again, there's his head. And what I like when I draw Fuddles, and which I'm also an animator, and I learned this in animation, that you can stretch things. You can stretch his head and his body, and Fuddles' body especially is really fun. I think he's got such a big belly that I think of his body, of like a bag of rice that you can just stretch or squash, or you can just almost like a water balloon, manipulate it, change it into any shape that you want. So, there's that expression again, but this time, I'm going to try him. See, I'm stretching his body here, and I'm going to try him kind of jumping up in the air. So here's one of his legs. There's his other leg with the claws out. And this leg up. And as I draw, I kind of feel the energy that I'm trying to draw. So this leg is down, and then again you have that bushy tail behind him. So, all right, I like that. Now I'm going to try one more. I'm going to move my screen down so I have a little more room to draw. Okay, let's try Fuddles up in the air. So you notice that I generally start off drawing his head as a circle, and then I add the details to it. So again, a circle, there's his head, there's his mouth. But now, ooh, he looks angry here. That's not what I want. Okay, so I choose my eraser, and oops, let me change that a bit. There we go. So I'm drawing in Photoshop, which is where I do a lot of my work. And I'll show you why in a minute I like doing that so much. So, okay. Fuddles' body. Ah! His claws are sticking out. So this is a fun one. And then... Okay, and I ran out of space for his tail there. But, okay, and then his whiskers. Okay, so I've done 3 drawings here, and so usually I would do a bunch more, and most of them I throw out, but I'm exploring, trying to figure out how to best illustrate the story point, whatever's going on in the story. So, well, I'm going to choose the middle one. I like the stretchy body here. So what I can do now, and this is what I love that I can do in Photoshop, and there are other drawing programs like this, is that I put the drawing at a lower opacity, and now I'm going to start a new file, a new layer. And you can do this on paper as well. If you're drawing on tracing paper, or if you draw very lightly your first drawing, then you can draw over that with darker lines and make your finished drawing. And you just erase whatever you don't like. Okay, so here goes Fuddles, and I can also zoom in, which I like. So, all right. So here comes Fuddles' nose. Now I'm going to change the opacity a bit of my line. That's a little too dark. So go back, start it again. Okay, so there's his nose. And so I'm going to make my line a little thinner. There we go, that's better. Okay, so I generally start off with a circle, and what's nice is that because you can turn a circle, of course, any direction, and then I draw what are called these construction lines, and that tells me which way Fuddles is facing, and then I just add details as I go. So this center line tells me that Fuddles has his black and white fur, and so I draw right around that. And there come his eyes, now his ears. Now I want to draw his mouth. So now I'm drawing much more carefully, of course, because I'm going for a final drawing here. So, there's his mouth, and I look in the mirror and really make sure I get the proper expression. And now there's his fur. His whiskers. And then I darken in his black fur. So, and normally I try to draw the fur, the lines, in the direction that his fur would go. So I'm doing kind of vertical lines here. Here it starts to go off to the side. Okay, draw the inside of his mouth quickly. You're just darken it in. Okay, now I'm going to get his body. So here's his shoulder. Now, I may change what my original rough did because I can. And sometimes I get ideas as I'm drawing, and then I just change my drawing as I go. So here we get his claws. His claws sticking out. So you want to do whatever you can to get that feeling of fear in him. Whoops. So there's his chest fur. And okay, I'm going to make this just a little smaller so I can get all of them on the screen. And now I'm going to draw that big belly of his. And some of these extra lines, and you can do this at home too, the extra lines I just erase. But initially, I'm trying to just find out exactly what pose it is I want to draw. So sometimes I draw a few too many lines, but that's okay because I'm just feeling my way through the drawing. So here comes his paw. It's like somebody's hand going, ah! Add the claws to them, and then he has these little pads that all cats have. Now I'm going to erase this extra line. I don't need that. And now he has black fur on his shoulders. So drawing that in there, and there. So now we get to his legs. So here's his one leg. And you notice that I like to make poses that are not even. And by that, I'm going to erase this a bit. By that I mean that I have his one leg up, his front leg up, and the other leg down, and his hind leg down, and the other one up. So that it doesn't look quite so even, which makes the drawing more interesting. So, little pads, there's his claws, and draw some black fur there. Now his other hind leg. And I had to study a lot of anatomy, which means studying the body, both of people and of animals. I had to learn the skeleton that we all have underneath our skin, and that helps me understand how our body is put together, and that helps me to understand how to move the bodies. So here we have Fuddles' knee. Draw the black fur there. So now I'm going to quickly darken in his, black fur. Sorry for those windows popping up. And then here comes his bushy tail. Now I can really add a lot of fur there, spreading out. So, and then he's got a white tip, so the rest of his tail is black. Whoops. And there we go. Now I'm going to turn off my rough layer underneath, and there is our Fuddles drawing. So you can try this at home, trying to copy my Fuddles drawings, or copy other things, or sketch people around your house, your friends, or when you're at a park. It's fun to sketch people doing things, or just make up things from your own mind. Draw aliens doing things. But drawing is a lot of fun, and I hope you learned something of how I put together my drawings. And I want to show you also, if you want to see more online, here's my website. And you can see animation that I've done at the Disney Studio and other illustrations that I've made. But I just want to encourage you to draw and also to read, because reading is good for your imagination. Okay, have fun, everybody.